Welcome back to my channel. I am glad you are here. And if you know what, if you're like me, you are probably waiting for the premiere of Bravo's Real Housewives of Orange County that's supposed to be premiering tonight. So I thought it would be kind of nice to go over a few stories in this video as we prepare to wait for the premiere this evening. So go ahead, sit back and relax. Of course, I'm going to want to know your thoughts as well. So make sure that you are respectively leaving those in the comment section. And let's go ahead and find our way to that first story, because you can already tell who we're going to be talking about first. And that's good old Miss Tamra Judge, which she is great TV, is she not? So let's go ahead and let me pull that story up. Now, according to Bravo, Jennifer Pedranti, and I'm probably going to be just saying first names here as we move on so I don't continue to butcher the name, makes a surprising reveal about Tamra. She basically says, I see her for who she is. And boy, does that sound like it's a very familiar thing. I feel like I've heard her say that in the season prior. But let's go ahead and get into this sharing. Tamra Judge and Jennifer Pedranti were close friends when the latter Real Housewives of Orange County cast member first joined the franchise during season 17. But things quickly got complicated between the two, largely due to Jennifer's relationship with Ryan. They ultimately reconciled at the reunion, but was the pair able to keep the peace heading into season 18? Well, in a first look at the season premiere, the answer appeared to be yes. Take it from Jennifer herself, as she explains in a confessional interview in the above preview that's actually shared on the article if you want to go out and take a look. Of course, I'll leave the information down below in the description area. Basically, she shares that Tamra and I think we're moving past everything that happened between us, and I see her for who she is. Now, honestly, that statement alone can go either way, but let's go get into it further. With that in mind, Jennifer adds, so keeping it light and easy is exactly where I want to keep it with Tamra. The two can even be seen hanging out in the sneak peek that was shared as they squeeze in a quick workout with Emily. And eventually Jennifer brings up yet another wife, Shannon storms the door. And she basically shares that I saw Shannon. She came to the studio the other day. Jennifer adds, referring to the yoga studio she owns, and she took a class. You see, that's one person I am concerned with, and also at the same time, one reason why I'm really interested in watching the Real Housewives of Orange County, because I'm wondering how it's going to go for Shannon with her ex-boo being on this season, and then with Alexis of all people. So yeah, let's keep going. Now, Jennifer is friends with both Tamra and Shannon, at least at the time being. From there, Jennifer explains that while Shannon may not be in the best place with some of the other castmates, she is embracing a friendship with her. I have a soft spot for Shannon, she says in a confessional. When you feel like the rug is being pulled out from under you and you are literally at rock bottom, you need a friend. So basically, are Tamra, Shannon still friends ahead? Well, let's go ahead and take a peek into that as well. The RHOC cameras basically flashed in the scene to Jennifer and Shannon mid-hangout 1 week prior, as the latter is opening up about the aftermath of her DUI. I'm doing my best to try and turn a positive into this, Shannon explains. I went to that wellness program for a month, and I'm continuing on with a psychiatrist and a therapist there. And basically, Jennifer says to her, you know what, girl, you're doing great. You're doing good work. So of course we want to stay tuned for the premiere that is today, and just check your local listings, of course, so you make sure that you are on deck for it if you are as excited to proceed as I am. Now, I know there's been a bit of a drag on some of the Housewives shows. Quite frankly, I understand, because look, RHOA is my favorite, always has been since the beginning of my days of watching the Real Housewives show. So I'm a bit anxious on the next season for it. But this is not about RHOA, not this time anyways. We are sticking to OC at this point. And I am excited about this one because I'm wondering how Shannon's going to fare in this season. I might have mentioned this in a previous video that I did. Check my videos under my live tab. I've got some videos under there as well. And there is one about Shannon and her ex-boo thing, John. And yeah, there's going to be some interesting I'm sure, series, maybe career-ending situations in that in this season. I'm just trying to think about all the things that happened in seasons past, but yeah, um, maybe not career ending. That might be a little bit too far-fetched. But when I think of career ending, as far as this is concerned, look, I kind of think of Alexis. I mean, this is going to be a third go round here, and I don't know if it's going to work out that well for her. But let's go ahead and move on to the second sharing in regards to RHOC. So let's see what we got next up on deck. Oh, next we're going to go right on into talking about Shannon'S DUI and her thoughts about it. Now, if you had saw season 17's reunion, which was the last season, you would have heard her actually talk a little bit about the DUI because it had happened, or we at least were made aware of it happening. I want to say about roughly a couple of weeks before the reunion of last season. And so she did have to address it. Now, one of the things that she's always been, I think, criticized for is the way that she treated Gina for her DUI situation, post DUI situation. Because as you can recall in the last season, if you did watch, she said some things that were very disturbing for maybe a lot of people to hear about, and definitely for Gina, in regards to the conversation that Shannon had shared about Gina's kids and what was going to happen with them the night that she had gotten into trouble, where there was a concern about CPS being called and all of these types of things. And of course, Gina was livid because there was never a time where, from my reckoning and recalling, that she was going to ever lose her kids. And so, of course, having those allegations or those things put out there in the ether just really made the situation even worse. Not to mention, Gina did go through this a couple of years ago, and we hadn't heard anything prior to this past season of any kind of conversation like that. So it did seem a bit contrived, in my opinion, as well. But the bottom line is, either one of these ladies doing this situation is irresponsible. And I don't know why at their big old ages, they're having these kinds of issues. But Gina has very much been transparent about, what she had done during her time and her stint with this situation for herself, when she got herself into trouble with a DUI. And she's, like I said, been very transparent. She's very apologetic. And, at this point, I think she's had no problems, no issues with the law since, and just doing things like that of any nature. And then here we go with Shannon, and she ends up being the one to do it. And I just didn't understand that myself. So let's get into it, okay? Now, according to People, RHOC Shannon navigates life after her DUI and asks for forgiveness through tears. And she says, I'm just so disappointed. I'm so sorry and humiliated, Shannon cried to her daughters on Bravo's preview of the season 18 premiere. So we're going to be seeing that tonight. Of the Real Housewives of Orange County. Like, what kind of example am I at 59? I'd have to ask that same question. Shannon is looking for forgiveness from her daughters following her DUI arrest. Because you got to remember, her daughters, who are now college-bound, actually attendees, it's just not a good look at all. I mean, not to mention all of the other ridiculousness. Why are you doing something like this and putting anyone else's life in danger? Not just yours, but anyone else potentially. I mean, come on, come get with it. All right. So in Bravo's latest preview of the season 18 premiere of The Real Housewives of Orange County, the reality star 60 now has a heartfelt conversation about her 2023 DUI arrest with her daughters, Stella, Adeline, and Sophie. After expressing her remorse for missing out on dropping Stella off at college, Shannon apologized for the actions that led up to her arrest. It was my intent to come and visit you at college, and because of my mistakes, I wasn't able to come, she tells Stella with tears in her eyes. I feel bad. I'm so sorry and humiliated, and that I had disappointed you. Okay. Like, what kind of example am I at 59? She asks rhetorically as her voice quivers or wavers. Stella assures her mother that she and her sisters were glad that you're okay and that no one was hurt. Naturally, she has too many S's in this sentence. She suggests Shannon take accountability for her actions and learn from her mistakes. And I really do hope that Shannon will do just that. Shannon has had a real go at it on RHOC since really her beginning years and her beginning time on the show, between the divorce with David, which are the children's father, this rocky situation with John, and then all the shenanigans in between with her feud with Tamara and Vicky, and then even the other castmates, Gina and Emily at times, Heather at times. So she's had a real go at it. And one thing about Shannon is I really wanted to see her come out into a season where she really was good and was good throughout the entire season, right? I mean, yes, we do expect a little bit of storyline, obviously, a little bit of drama here and there, but I want her to be more in control of what's going on. You know, sometimes people deal with things differently, and there's been other housewives that have actually been in obviously serious situations or situations period and storylines period, and they just had a better handle on how they conducted themselves. I don't know. I just need Shannon to show me something different, and I'm really hoping that maybe through the awakening of what has just transpired with her DUI, that we'll start to see that in this coming season. Let's continue. In a conversation with cameras, Shannon shares more details about the events leading up to her arrest. After driving to her ex John Jansen's home, the two had gotten into an argument, and Shannon claims he called her a drunken idiot before urging her not to drive. I got in an accident seconds later because I revved up the engine so he could now know how mad I was, and I lost control of the car immediately, she claims. Shannon adds, never broken a bone. I've never had a concussion. I've never been in an accident. I've never been arrested, never had a DUI. And I did all that in 10 seconds. How, no pun intended, sobering is that? Has managed to live a really clean life as far as these types of actions are concerned. And then at age 59, in a stupid altercation with some guy that's supposed to be a boyfriend, and this is where your life could be in so much jeopardy. She's got to start to pick better men, and she's got to do better for herself. I mean, honestly, this is not just about John, right? This is about Shannon. This is about Shannon and her ability to be able to change the things that she needs to change, heal where she needs to heal so she can make better decisions in the long run. I know that a lot of things for Shannon have bubbled up for her, and more times than not, and she has got to find a better way to cope. And I'm really hoping that we will see a breakthrough in that for her this season. Let's continue. In September of 2023, People confirmed Shannon was arrested at 1:17 a.m. on September 17th after fleeing the scene from a collision that caused property damage, according to the Newport Beach Police Department. The NBPD also said that Bravo Levity had been booked for 2 misdemeanors, one for hit and run and the second DUI alcohol, and released on a citation. Shannon was found walking her dog by police after she allegedly left her car in the middle of the road, according to initial report by TMZ. In a statement to People, Shannon's lawyer, Michael L. Fell, said at the time, I spent quite a bit of time with Shannon yesterday. She's extremely apologetic and remorseful. We will be awaiting the official information on this case as it becomes available, and Shannon is prepared to accept full responsibility for her actions. And again, a reminder that the premiere for RHOC will be tonight. Well, I'm glad for that. And I think that, you know, when we saw her in the reunion show, again, this would have been about 2 weeks or so, roughly before, once we notified it. The reunion itself was months later, but it's just good to know that by that time she has processed it enough to know that, you know, I really screwed up. You know, I really messed up here, and this was not the right way to go. And I'm so glad that she at least is not looking for, you know, excuses. She gave the reason as far as what happened, like the events of what happened. And so I can appreciate her for that, letting us know how it went down. But at the end of the day, it did seem to me that she has not shied away from, you know, basically just saying, I'm sorry. You know, some people might say, well, look, you know, she's out in the public eye, so of course she's going to have to say something. Of course she's going to have that way. You'd be surprised, right? There's a lot of people that we see in the public eye and celebrities who do not take responsibility for the things that they do or blame somebody else for their actions. At least I can say, it's my feeling and my thought is that Shannon is taking responsibility. And I'm really hoping this is a turning point for her. I thought her divorce from David would be one. I thought some other situations would be that turning point. You know, she's got a business, for heaven's sakes, as well, that she's able to put together. You know, she's been through it. So we need Shannon to get herself on the right track and continue to keep going on that right track, because at the end of the day, none of the shenanigans that Shannon goes through is worth anybody's life, not hers and not anybody else's. So let us move on then to the next story, because now we're getting into the juicy part of one of the new arrivals who is not so new. Talk about holla back. Talk about spinning the block over and over again. Third time's a charm, I guess we can call her now, Alexis Bellino, who is going to be making her way back onto the RHOC. And I don't know about this situation. I just don't know. But yeah, just as messy as she want to be. I tell you, that's one thing Alexis can do. She can do messy. And maybe that's what the show needed. So her being on here, I guess we'll get an opportunity to see if her and John's relationship is really the real thing or not. But let's go ahead and get into this article shared by Bravo as far as what Alexis wants you to know as we are awaiting and we enter into the premiere tonight. Now, Alexis Bellino declares that an engagement to John is around the corner. We did go ring shopping. Now, do you think that's true? Do you think that's storyline? Or do you think that's just to get under Shannon's skin? You tell me down below in that comment section, because I sure would like to know. Now, the Real Housewives of Orange County friend as of yet. We'll see if she might be finding her way back into holding an orange again. Says that she won't be quiet when her boyfriend John Jansen pops the question. She hasn't been quiet in the last few months, so I don't know why this would change anything. Let's continue. Alexis Bellino and her boyfriend John Jansen are getting closer to taking a major step in their relationship. Now, during a July 2nd interview with Daily Dish, the Real Housewives of Orange County friend teased that an engagement to her boyfriend of less than a year is just around the corner. Honestly, I think he's trying to throw me off. I know it's coming because we did go ring shopping together. So it's definitely around the corner, the mom of three shared during the exclusive interview. That could be tomorrow. It could be 6 months from now. I honestly don't know, because he is throwing a lot of little things in my direction. Alexis continued about a potential proposal coming her way. I think he's just trying to keep me confused. So I don't know. I mean, America will know when it happens. We won't be quiet about it. Now, Alexis Bellino reveals if she and John Jansen are living together. Now, she shares that in addition to discussing the possible wedding plans and blending their families, Alexis also recently revealed how she and John were taking on a new living situation together. Now, if you recall, and if you have watched, that Shannon and John, when they were dating last season, in season prior, I think as well, they had talked about the cohabitation situation. And Shannon, she had still lived in her home, and John lived in his. I think he had like a boathouse or something like that, and he was off the water. And I believe the reason given, which I don't think is the only reason now that we see how things have unfolded for John and Shannon, but I believe the original reason was because the kids were a factor. Shannon has 3 daughters, if you may recall, by David, and they had not been yet in college yet. And I think she was waiting for them to move out, get themselves situated into college, and then she'd be empty nesting. And then I think she felt more comfortable. Probably didn't want to uproot the children in any kind of way, wanted to keep them in their schools where they were locally, all those types of things. Because at the end of the day, they were really getting ready to go to college pretty quickly anyways. Her oldest has already gone. I think the difference between the set of twins, which is the 2 and 3, and the one maybe a year or 2 or something like that. So the oldest is off to college, and the other 2, the twins, they were on their way. So I think that is a sound decision to make. Don't want to uproot them. For what reason? I mean, it's not like she was married to John, so I wouldn't have made any major decisions myself when it came to any kind of cooperation or cohabiting with John. Now, John also has children, which I think may be teenager to adult, possibly. Now, there was also some rumblings that there was an issue between Shannon and John's daughter, whereas they talked about the fact that they really didn't get along. So I don't know if what argument ensued, if there was an argument, if she just didn't care for Shannon, or whatever happened. I don't think they got into it too deep, but there was some rumblings of some type of friction there. And so there was no real need to, combine households at that time. I wonder if John at this point also was just trying to figure out a way out as well. So, we'll see. So it's interesting that in less than a year, he is now, hooked up with Alexis, because I guess Orange County may be a small place, but he's hooked up with her. She's got 3 children as well. I believe a set of twins in that pact as well, which is interesting, the economy. And also, they're younger. They're not, I don't even know if they're in high school yet, or, maybe junior high-ish, maybe elementary, junior high-ish. I guess we will find out maybe more tonight and as the season goes on. So it's just interesting how just gung-ho and happy and ready to go he is for this union. This makes me wonder how long he really has known Alexis. Maybe we'll hear some of that throughout the season. Let's go on and continue. Alexis Bellino reveals if she and John Jansen are living together. We do stay. She leaves it open. So basically on the June 14th episode of 2 Teas in a Pod podcast, I'm pretty sure you know who that is. Alexis had chatted about her love life and mentioned that she and John were unofficially cohabitating, meaning they just stay together, hook up, together at night, probably that kind of thing, right? We're all grown. We all know what that means. We do stay together almost 7 nights a week now, she shared. Alexis is also noted in that interview that she and John were talking about an engagement. It could be tomorrow. As she said previously in the other interview, it can happen 6 months from now. She said, I do know it's coming because we already talked about our entire future and we already have a plan in place. So what are we looking to expect from Alexis for this season? Well, let's see. After leaving RHOC in 2013, Alexis will return naturally for this season, and she is ready to give fans more glimpses into her life these days. According to a press release for the new season, which premieres again tonight, Thursday, July 11th, Alexis is in full force and ready to make waves. The release continues. She finds her footing with most of the ladies and starts fresh with Tamra. Remember that whole argument, yelling, screaming match that her and Tamra had that she famously exited off of the show? And I want to say that probably wasn't 2013 or it was the season before. I can't remember which. She finds her footing, but she instantly finds herself on shaky ground with Shannon, naturally, as they face off in a series of high-stakes disputes. So that's what they are saying as far as how things are going to go with Alexis and what she plans on coming in with the fire, with the bang and all that good stuff. And of course, naturally, when you're, messing with someone's man, I would imagine, you're probably ready for all kinds of drama that will definitely solidify her for a full time on the show, at least through the season. Her being a friend is interesting. I think that, they're just testing out the waters to see if this will work for people to see her on a more permanent basis, to see where this relationship goes, maybe to see just how much storyline she really does have that she can contribute to the show. Because after all, we do watch the show for the actual storylines, right? All right. So of course, Alexis is going to have to deal with some detractors in this situation. I mean, if you're walking on a show with someone else's man or their boo thing, claiming that now he's your boo thing, you're going to probably have some questions being asked of you. So that apparently seems to be what took place. Because Alexis Bellino was confronted, or she did the confronting of Teddi Mellencamp over John Jansen disses. Now, as you know, that the Two Teas in a Pod podcast is Tamra Judge and Teddi Mellencamp. And if you know Teddi Mellencamp, obviously her father was John Mellencamp, is a singer, but she's also known for her own situation in being part of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills cast. She's been off that show for a few years now, I believe, and she quickly got into a podcast, I believe, with Tamra, and she's been doing it for a few years. It seems to be successful. Tamra and Teddi seem to be very, very close, and Teddi does seem to dibble and dabble a little bit in the Bravo sphere by way of Tamra or just on her own. I've seen her on Watch What Happens Live a couple of times as well since then. So let's get into what she has to say, because this might be one of those times where I agree with Teddi. All right. So this is also according to Reality Team. Early last year, Teddi Mellencamp negatively brought up John Jansen on her podcast, but Alexis Bellino, John's new lady friend, has since entered the chat, and she's in confrontation mode, calling out Teddi's former statements. As we all know, Alexis is returning to Real Housewives of Orange County. However, she's coming in as a friend of. Yet, If she keeps on playing this little speak on it game, her full-time orange could return, and soon. I told you, that's what we're playing this game for. But for now, all that Alexis is concerned about is clearing her beau's name, because we're really concerned about her having to clear a grown man's name in a situation where you've only been with him for less than a year. Let's continue. Teddy's former words and Alexis' current response. Now, to help properly kick the mess off, let's hop into our DeLorean. It may sound like it's like a set of shoes or something, but the DeLorean time machine, and travel all the way back to January 2023, back then on her Two T's in a Pod podcast. Now, Teddy shared she did not appreciate John's moves made following his breakup with Shannon Bedore. This is because John was getting cozy with an unnamed woman inside of the quiet womb. The quiet woman. You remember that restaurant that no kind of sense of peace or quiet goes on? Made famous because of Shannon, by the way. This restaurant is Shannon's favorite, as we've all seen over the years in RHOC. Now, he's doing it not just on purpose, but because he wants the fans to come and talk to him, Teddy said. And then he's wanting to be pictured with another woman to really torture Shannon, she added. See, because you can never get nowhere when you do dirty. Now, fast forward your DeLorean clock back to this week, and you will see that Alexis has just appeared on the same podcast. You have been a little dirty to my man. She promptly quipped at Teddy, because, you know, Alexis thinks she's cute. Okay. Overall, Alexis thinks that people misunderstood John. But soon she's hoping that we will all see and understand exactly who John is. You know, honestly, Alexis, I don't think we need to see your rendition of what John is or who John is. I think we see it for ourselves. There's so much to the truth that you don't know. John is one of the kindest, nicest, most generous, amazing, God-fearing humans I know. And he gives back to the world. The truth is going to come out, she stressed. Okay. You'll be proven wrong this season too, because the truth will come out, Alexis further added. This is about the upcoming RHOC season premiere, which will once again feature Alexis with the side of John on this Consider Me Intrigued. So I got a question for you, just like this article has a question. Do you think that we'll see a different side to John this season? Well, I think you already feel my opinion on that, but you let me know your opinion down below. And will he and Alexis be in game? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say this. First of all, I think John is what he is. Okay. I don't think that John is anything fantastic about him. I don't think there's anything that she's going to share with me that's going to make me, fall out of my seat. If that happens, I'll be more than willing to share my change of heart on a future video. But at this point, I think it's messy. I'm not into it. He had been with Shannon for 3 years, whether on, off again, fully engaged, whatever the case may be. They cohabitated during, the time where the world came to an end for the temporary time that it did, but felt like it was going to be forever, and we're still dealing with the after effects of that. But they were in there. At least it's what it seems like. Now, even if it was a situation where they were just kind of hanging out on the side, but they really were claiming each other, it's not going to make me feel any better about him. Okay, it's just not. It gives me Brooke Ayers vibes, to be honest with you. But I digress, because those are two different people. So now Alexis is going to spend her time on this season thumping her chest about how he is the best man and the best thing, walking. I don't know if I'm going to believe that, but you let me know your thoughts. And do I think they're in game? I think it's too soon to tell, to be honest with you. Alexis was engaged, if I'm not mistaken, to a previous man. I don't remember his name, and she was flaunting him around all over the place for a while, and then that ended. So, she has been married before. I think her man's name was Jim, the first one, and that's how she got onto the show before, them two together with family and all that good stuff. That didn't work out. So, in the end game, well, I guess we'll have to see. I'm not holding my breath. And even if they do make it down the altar, I don't know if they're going to stay married. I don't know. It's just something so about this situation. But, I'm willing to allow Alexis to persuade me otherwise, and to try to find a way to change my mind. I'm going to be watching, so hopefully you will be too. And let me know your thoughts about that story as well down in the comment section. So let's move on, shall we? So we are going to be talking about one of the most exciting parts of, I think, the show. And that is when we have new housewives on the show. Now, we already know that Alexis is going to be here because that's what everybody really honestly is here for. At the end of the day, I don't think that we would be as excited or jumping up and down. This is just my opinion. I don't think we would be that excited if Alexis was coming back because we would be kind of wondering why she's coming back. But now with the John angle, this is what makes the excitement happen. All right, so according to OCRegister.com, Real Housewives of Orange County, Alexis Bellino and Katie Janelli are joining the cast. Now, I don't know anything about Katie, so I think we'll get some information about her in this sharing. So let's move on. Alexis Bellino had a lot going on at the end of the summer last year. Her beloved mother had passed away. She broke off an engagement, and then the Real Housewives of Orange County was on the phone asking the former housewife if she'd like to rejoin the reality series for its 18th season. And all that before she met and fell in love with John Jansen, the ex-boyfriend of housewife Shannon'S, which threw a huge plot twist into the season that premieres on Bravo tonight. I mean, you can't write this stuff, right? Bellino says this is why it's reality TV. It's too good to be its own movie. It's just what it is. And yeah, there's a lot. Around the same time, Katie Janella and her family moved to Orange County, which brought her into the orbit of Bravo's casting directors. I became friends with Sutton, Janella says. Oh, we like Sutton, says of Sutton Strack of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I told her, I think we're moving to Orange County. And she said, oh, one of my friends is a real estate agent. You should reach out. You're both around the same age. You have the same kind of personality. You'd be friends. The friend was Gina. Oh, Kirschneider. Oh, Gina. This is going to be an interesting twist. Of the Real Housewives of Orange County, who not only met Janella about her housing needs, but also encouraged her to join the reality show for its new season. All right, so we're thinking that this is a friend to a friend situation, that actually they're really friends. Now, Janella is not only the new cast member, she's also the first Asian American in the cast of the Real Housewives of Orange County and the first housewife of Korean descent on any cast in the Greater Housewife of Universe. Well, that's going to be great. I lived in Korea for some time, so this will be nice. It'll be like, I'm just so glad of the diversity and the newness and the freshness that this brings when we bring people from all walks of life into the fold. So I'm excited about this. The rest of the cast remains as it was with Shannon, Gina, Heather Dubrow, Tamara Judge, Emily Simpson, and Jen Pedranti. I'm pretty sure I just heard that last name. All returning for the new season. Now, Bellino, who was previously on the show between 2009 and 2013, is officially credited as a friend of the Housewives, but she's certain to be a big presence in the storylines this year. In separate interviews edited for length and clarity, Bellino and Janella talked about their decisions to be on the series, the drama they encountered on the show, and more. Now, these are the questions for Alexis, and these are the answers she gave. And we're going to run through this real quick, just for the sake of the interview. So when and how are you approached to rejoin the show? Well, she says, after I left 10 years ago, Heather and I were not close. But over the last 10 years, we have formed a very true, authentic relationship. She's been very vocal in the Bravo world about wanting me to be back on. With my mom passing in August, which we're condolences sent out to Alexis for that. It was not anything in my forethought at all. But then at BravoCon, Tamara and I had a really deep conversation. A true friendship started forming, and it was just a road that led us here from that point on. And see, and Heather, I'm always suspicious of a little bit when it comes to her and Shannon, because, they're kind of off and on, hot and cold as well. Next question. Was there any hesitation before you said yes? Her answer was, I did doubt back for several reasons. Number one, I didn't know if I was mentally and physically capable to do it because I was so distraught. I was in a lot of therapy. Then number two, I happened to meet John, she laughs, at, let's just say, an inconvenient time. It ended up being a deep love, so it was not a mistake. And I'm not regretful of any of that. But it did change the trajectory of what was going to happen. I was going to be on Housewives as a single woman, and now I'm on Housewives in a serious relationship with an ex-boyfriend of one of the cast members. If you're going to do it big, I guess. Her next question. You met John at the Quiet Woman in Corona Del Mar, which is often a place we've seen Shannon. The honest to God truth is I've been going to the Quiet Woman for decades. My guy friends who are married, I officiated their wedding, actually wanted me to take them there. So we went and we paid the bill and just had our dessert. And John walks in with a group of people. I didn't pay him any attention at that point. We all just hung out, and I'm still thinking, I'm going home at this point. I'm not drinking. I'm just ready to go. And they all just were like, no, we're going to Shamrock. We're going dancing and this and that. Somehow they talked me into it, even in my 5-inch stilettos. And so we went on and danced. You could tell there was an energy between John and I, but we definitely stayed friends. And then we just couldn't fight it anymore. It was just natural, and we are deeply in love. The relationship we are in is so much harder than if I just met somebody else at the grocery store. You know what I mean? We chose a very difficult path. That's why we waited to make sure, okay, are these feelings more than just like you're hot and you're hot? It's like, what is really here? So that's where we are now. Next question. This is clearly going to be a big storyline this year. Have you prepared yourself for that? Alexis answers, after I spoke with my psychic, I decided to have the fire come inside of me to go back. I was going to say no at that point. It was almost too much to take on, right? I didn't want to come in as a villain of the girlfriend and took the boyfriend, and when it's not true because they were broken up for 1.5 years. I know that makes interesting and good TV, but at the end of the day, people's feelings are involved in this. I am in love with him. It is uncomfortable for Shannon and I to be on the same cast, so I almost didn't come back. Then I talked to my mom through my psychic, and that's how I'm here. Okay. Now the interview switches over to Katie Janella, and she's going to be the new cast member, right? So let's see what she was asked. First question. So tell me about how you came from Georgia to become a Real Housewife in Orange County. And that wouldn't make sense how she meets Sutton, because Sutton's from Georgia as well. Her answer, I actually met the casting about 3 years ago. A friend of mine was on Basketball Wives, and they reached out. We had moved to San Diego, and I was like, I don't live in Orange County, so this is definitely not going to work. Then about 1 year later, I met Sutton. We're both from Georgia, and we became very fast friends. We were kind of commiserating on the lack of sweet tea and fried food here in Southern California. It's very healthy here, she laughs. You know, we grew up like eating everything fried and full of butter, and so we became good friends. Next question. Do you know how far it is to the closest Waffle House? Oh my gosh, I do actually know how far it is. It's in Arizona, and it makes me so sad. I miss that gross, greasy food so much. Next question. And she introduced you to Gina? Well, I reached out to Gina, and we met for coffee to discuss my needs for a house because I have 4 kids and 2 dogs, and my husband needs an office. And we sat there for 5 hours and talked. We were instantly friends. There's never a lack of conversation with Gina, which is great. Next question. You and your husband both come from a background in golf journalism, and now you've got a business involving alcohol and golf? Well, golf balls come in a sleeve, right? So we have made a golf ball that is 50 milliliters, and the top of it twists off, and inside are flavored shots of tequila and vodka. Well, that's kind of interesting. They come in a sleeve of 4 because usually golf is played in foursome, and they're called tee shots. Yeah, it's pretty smart. Next question. What was the part of the appeal of the show to you? To have a chance to talk about your business? Because that's usually what housewives do, right? They let you know all about things that they're doing in their professional life. Her answer is, I was able to talk about my business. My husband owns his own production company in golf, so it was kind of a really cool platform for that. I also thought it was really great that I could get on the show as the first Korean Asian American for Orange County. There's a huge Asian population in Orange County, Southern California, and California in general. I think it's really cool to see representation of Asian Americans on television. And I agree with her. I think it's very cool to see representation of all individuals. Next question. What can your representation as an Asian American change or do on the show? Her answer, I am adopted from Korea. So growing up and seeing a female Asian anywhere, it was sports or on TV, was awesome for me to see. It made me feel like, oh, that's somebody I can relate to, even though I had no idea who the person was. I think it comes with a lot of responsibility, but responsibility I am really excited about. It does come with some stereotypes, and I think it's good that I can help kind of break down some of those. Like what? Well, we are filming, and I told the girls, oh, I have to take Pepsi so I don't get Asian flush when we're drinking. They were like, what is that? They had no idea. I also got to introduce them to some Asian food, Asian culture, and even being adopted from Korea and kind of learning it myself. It's cool to introduce these ladies to something that they're totally unaware about. I really, really enjoy that. Next question. What was your family's reaction to you going on Real Housewives? Well, my husband said, now it's your turn to do what you want to do and be who you want to be. It was hard at times. They would see me and come home upset or stressed out, but they were all super supportive and it was nice. And you know what? She seems like she's going to be a lovely person. I'm in. I'm good. I think she's going to be a great addition to the show. I'm glad that she's going to be here. I love the diversity. I enjoy seeing that. We need more of that. So I'm here for it. I am here for the whole season. I'm here for Shannon's, really her redemption trek as she goes through the situation of the aftermath of DUI and on the breakup of John Jansen. If one thing about Shannon, boy, she knows how to take on load after load after load. But I am actually rooting for Shannon. I would love to know your thoughts below. So definitely make sure you're respectfully leaving those down in the comment section. And are you waiting for Alexis? Were you waiting for Alexis? Do you think Alexis is going to be a good additive to the show? I mean, she's definitely bringing the drama. You know, she says that this was something that was not planned. She says that there was a lot of space there, a year and a half or so, between John and Shannon's union. So, you know, she's trying to let us know that she didn't interlope into that relationship. That's what we're going to hear. And I think a lot of us and our feelings about that, other than what she has to say, is hearing and seeing with Shannon, how she reacts and how she deals with the situation herself. So we are definitely going to be here for all of the shenanigans. I'm going to be here for all the shenanigans for sure. I believe I will be also recapping and reviewing the episode, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much for being here. We are now on the countdown for the premiere of Real Housewives of Orange County. I am not at all in partnership with Bravo. I just enjoy the show. So I hope that you will definitely come back here later on as well. I do have a few episodes. Look at me, like I'm on television. I do have a few videos that are going to be popping up on the channel here shortly. So if you are new here and you have not subscribed yet, I hope that you will. And of course, you know, be a part of the family. I would love to have you here. And for all of you that are already part of the family, thank you so much for being here. I truly do appreciate your viewing support. It means the world to me. And if you're enjoying the content and you appreciate the information being shared with and talked about to compensate for, then go ahead and give me a like on the way out. I would truly appreciate that. It helps with my video for the algorithm, and I would just love to go ahead and get this video out and about for others so we can add more to the family and we can talk about these things, because I want to know your thoughts, and I love to talk about all things reality TV. I might not watch all of them, but there are a few that I do enjoy, and I do like to talk about them and chit chat because it's fun. So yeah, definitely make sure you leave your comments down below, and I'm going to pop off here. So I'm going to bid you adieu. Take care, be blessed. Make sure you have those notification bells on as well. Got more videos coming, more things that I need answers to, more thoughts that I need from you as well. I want to know how you're thinking, what you're thinking, what's going on in your world. All right. So with that, I bid you adieu. Take care. Bye.